Yeah, if you watch this video, I got a list of things here. I just gotta tell you what this video is about. So my heater valve's been stuck on in the Ranger, so I'm gonna explain what's wrong and how to fix it. Another thing I'm gonna explain, what is max air? You know, all these cars have, you put your car on AC and then it has a valve called a setting called max air. What is that? I'm going to show that. Then I changed again, this is all about the Ranger. Change the, look at this list. Change the transmission filter and the fluid change. I go over that. Then the oil, I changed the oil in the Ranger when I got it. But I looked at it and it's completely black. So I'm flushing that. I'll show you how to do that. A weird thing happened. I was putting my vehicle lift. I had the Ranger up in the air and I was putting it down, and the lift was stuck and it wouldn't go all the way down. I mean, I got it all the way down, almost, it was on the ground, but it wouldn't go all the way down. I couldn't get the truck off. So I'm going to show that. And then I watched this video. I did drain out the oil after I flushed it. I skipped that, and then I'm just checking to see how the oil looks. And if you look back at an old video, I mean, way back, this might not interest you, but I want to show you. I don't know, 2 years ago, put all these plants in around the edge of this fence. And they grew. They're still growing. This here is really weird. I got maple trees all over this. I'm in Washington. So I cleaned out my gutters one year, especially over there. You can see a maple tree over there, way over there. And I took all those seeds and I threw them on the ground back here. There's like 30 plants in there. So whenever I need a tree now, I just cut it. I just can take it out and plant it somewhere. But I don't want it to get too tall, so I just cut them down to about 4 feet every year. Yeah, just going to show this. These are these seeds. I mean, I'm on the other side of the house. They fly everywhere. But these things grow. In Washington, they grow like weeds. Oh yeah, and I'm just walking around. And one more thing that might be confusing is, before I show how to fix the heater problem, I'm showing the parts and where to get them, and a good channel on YouTube where they go into it in more depth. So I'm just out here walking around. It's early in the morning. Propane heaters, got a backup generator. Yeah, I just almost tripped over that. I said propane heater. These tanks, if I run out of electricity up here, I have this backup generator that runs off propane. That came with the house. So power goes out, the generator kicks on, feeds out these tanks. It uses hardly anything. And then I got a fireplace that I use once. If the power goes out, this won't heat the whole house. I mean, it won't run everything in the house. This is a big house. But I have a fireplace, so if the power does go out, I turn on the fireplace, the propane fireplace, and it heats the house. Getting back to the transmission filter, or the transmission filter oil change. It came with 2 rubber washers. The rubber washers snap on here. One there, one there. Okay, so there's a bigger hole and a smaller hole. Again, every car is different, you never know, but this is how this 97 Ranger snapped right in. Now I got this bolt. Put that pan on. I'm gonna wipe off any oil. This has been dripping for like 3 days. Good. I'm not going to use any RTV or whatever they call it. But what I did do is I started my bolts just because the washer's a little bit smaller than the hole. I just started them. (13 to 15 nm), I guess that's metric, or 115 to 133 pound inches. Make sure you don't do foot pounds, you want to do inches. So there's two different torque wrenches. There's one that says foot pounds, and there's one that says inch pounds. So this is an inch pound. So I don't know what that translates into foot. I would guess you divide it by 12, but that's just a guess. So anyway, 115 to 133. So I'll just do right in the middle. That's about 123. That's 115. So I'm going to go what did I say, 122? It says using a crisscross sequence. But I'll probably start in the middle and then work my way out this way and then work my way out that way. But the reason I don't want to guess is I don't want to bend the oil pan. Okay, I tightened them up. I just went, and like, but I just want to double check to make sure I got them all. The tricky thing is, as you compress the gasket, it'll change the one next to it. I don't know if I showed it, but that's much leaked out over the weekend. I mean, I had it in the other pan. Anyway, and then I cleaned up. So I guess I'm just going to add like 3 quarts. Pretty sure at least 3 quarts came out. And by the way, this fluid that they tell you to use is Vechical automatic transmission fluid. I'm just going to put in 3. Yeah, this is the problem. This is the piece you need to fix your blend door. Dorman 902 221 on Amazon number 1246. That's the piece that breaks. Here, there's some videos online about this, but basically you're looking. Here's the pivot point on the blend door right there. So we're looking at this from underneath the, laying on your back on the carpet. So you need to cut out a hole like that. Pop the blend door out of that pivot point. Get that old door out. Push the new door up in. And then once you line up that metal piece I showed in the beginning, the top of the blend door with the actuator, you're going to close it back up with the old plastic you cut out and get some they call it HVAC tape. I haven't done it yet, but that's what you have to do. Here's another guy that took his heater core out. I mean, took out the whole heater. But basically, another tip. Again, I haven't done this yet. I haven't ordered the part yet. But some of the people are saying drill a hole right there in the pivot point. Then you can push up, because getting this door out is going to be a pain in the butt. You're probably going to have to break that door or cut it in half or something to get it out of there. Yeah, lastly, go look at this video right here on YouTube. He's doing everything that I'm talking about here at the end of the video, replacing his blend door, how he did it. And again, that hole is here that you have to cut out. YouTube is great. Yeah, if you go to 1997 and whatever other years came with a 4.0 engine, again, I don't know exacts for everything, but right here, there's a thing called a heater control valve. It's vacuum operated. So the problem is that my heat was on all the time. I couldn't turn the heater off. We're not talking about air conditioning, but air conditioning plays a little bit of part with a little bit part of the heating system. So this valve right here, if you put, again, I'll put this together the best I can, but if you put your, if you're in the car and you go to maximum cool, maximum air conditioning, it'll send a vacuum system, it'll send a vacuum signal to this diverter, or actuator, I guess you call it, and it'll shut off water. In other words, let me start over again. These two hoses go to the heater core. So the water goes in and it comes back out. It comes from the engine, through here, into the heater core, back out. But if you're running your air conditioning and you put it on max air conditioning, it'll send a vacuum signal to here, and it will not allow water to any longer go through the heating system. On all other settings, I'll show you the instrument panel in a second, but on all other settings except for maximum AC, water is going through the heater core. So now we're on the inside of the car. So what I'm talking about, you can see all these settings. 1, 2, 3, 4, off, 5, 6, 7, 8. The heater core, that valve that I just showed, will only shut water off on that setting. On AC, the water will keep flowing, and the rest of them. So the other thing I want to say is this area here is vacuum controlled, at least in this year car. This is the heat control, air conditioning heat. This works a blend door. if you go back to another video, I was trying to figure out how to fix this thing. So when you turn this, it's going to turn inside here where the heating box is. It's going to turn a door. It's going to open or close. That's all that does. Again, this is going back to this. This is opening and closing various other doors, and if you put it on AC, it's going to trigger the compressor to start. And this, I always wondered what was max AC on all my cars. Well, in this case, I'm not talking about the compressor. It's turning off water from flowing through the heat. So there's always heat in there. It's just that it's not being let in because of the door. But in this case, it's just turning it off completely to get maximum cooling. So I guess I have to talk about this a little bit more. Again, I have to go back to my last video because I wasn't sure what I was doing. So if I was to put, no matter what I put this on, the heat would stay on. If I put this all the way to cool, the heat would still be on full blast. It was just maddening. So I'm going to show you why, and I finally figured out how to fix it. But I'm going to show you some parts and explain it a little bit more. But you're going to have to go back to the last video just for now to see a picture of this, where the actuator is. Okay, so let's just start with the air conditioning. Well, let me open this box. I bought one of these because I just wanted to see how it worked because I wasn't sure mine was working. I thought this might have been the problem. The service manual, it just isn't clear to me. So what we have, this is sitting in the car like, it's sitting in the car like that. Water is coming from the engine, going from the engine into the heater core, back to the heater core, after it runs through, and then back to the engine. And okay, so in, heater core, out, back to the engine. When you give vacuum to this right here, you can see it's right in the middle here. There's a little valve in there. So when you give vacuum, all of a sudden it'll close. So right now it's, let's see, right now it's in this position. So the water can go up. It's always in that position unless you're on maximum air. So the water goes up through this way. But if you give it vacuum, this little door valve is going to switch one way or the other, and then the water is going to be the water will not be allowed to go to the heater core anymore. It'll just go through and back out, if that makes sense. So that's what this does. This is for air conditioning. It really has nothing to do with the heater. I finally figured that out. Now when you turn the switch on the cold hot, again you're going to go to my last video. If you take off the, if you open up the glove compartment, and well, just look at the last video, there's an actuator. Again, this is run by electrical, not vacuum. So when you go cold or hot, this is going to turn. Let's just pretend like this is a door. So that when you turn it, it's going to open the door like this. I think that's closed or open. That's what it's going to do. There's a big flap door here. So I thought this might have been broken. So I bought a new one. This is the old one. But the way to test it, again, last video, but the way to test it is just go to my last video, pop this out, take it off, leave it hooked up, turn your control to hot or cold. If this turns like it's going to turn about that much, whatever that means in degrees, then this is working. Your switch is working. Your heat cold switch. So what I finally determined by looking at YouTube and asking some other people is the top of this door has a pivot point like this. So you got it's like a flag. So when this turns, the problem is the piece inside this door is stripped, it's broken. So the heat is always stuck on if the flap is in a certain position. I mean, I can, again, look at the last video, I can reach in there and manually move that door because somebody cut a hole in there. So the way to fix this, again, so we know what this is. That has nothing to do with the heat. We know this works because I popped it out and checked it. But the door isn't opening. So I gotta get in there and put a new door. Again, this is just a visual. I think I explained it, but with no vacuum, water's coming in, going like that, back out this way. With vacuum, it's just going. It's not allowed to go to the heater core. And this isn't a very good drawing, but this is looking down. This is the flap. So it's either in this position, or this is the heat duct, or it's in the other position. Right now, the actuator that goes right there on the door is not allowing this to work. So this, again, I think I said the terms. This is just a heat door actuator. And this is the water control bypass for air conditioning on max only. So going back to this, if you want to test this when your air conditioner's on, let's say your air is not getting real hot or real cold on max air. There's no difference between max air and regular cold air. Take this off, put a vacuum gauge on it, turn on max air. If you don't get a reading here, well, then your vacuum line is not working, first of all. But if you stand right here and look, you'll see this move. So that means that your valve is working. So there's no way that I'm going to be able, with the camera I got, it's like a camcorder, that I'm going to be able to get under the dash to show how I'm going to fix this. I just ordered the part off Amazon. It's like 13 bucks. But at the end of the video, again, this is going to be over a few days, it's going to show you how to fix this problem. But, you know, but it looks like there's about that much space. Somehow, and I'm old, the older you get, the harder it is to get into these weird, twisty spots. But somehow I got to cut a hole in there, get this door out, put a new door in, with a connection that this will work on. Again, this picture's at the end. I changed this oil. I mean, I probably got 50 miles on this oil, and it's filthy. Whoever had this car before me didn't take care of it. See if I can turn this viewfinder around. I'm going to put some automatic transmission fluid. I got this ATF left over from something. I got about that much. I'm just gonna put it in here. Try to flush out some of this stuff. Let it run for like 5 or 10 minutes. See if I can clean out some of this junk. Like I say, I'm gonna let it run for about 5-10 minutes. Two. You know, I'm just talking here. Anybody that's been watching my videos, I got the Trans Am done. It's going to get painted. I just saw a Roadrunner for sale for 20. I mean, it's got a 440. I mean, I don't know why they're selling so cheap. I'm gonna go look at it this weekend. I'll show you how dirty it is. It was black. Now it's pretty clear. I mean, it's not 100% clear, but I'd say it's at least 50 to 75% better. Turn this viewfinder around. You can see the dipstick now. It's full. I went to use the lift. I mean, I already used it and I lowered it, but it wouldn't go all the way to the floor and I couldn't get my truck off. I mean, it was this far from the ground, this far from letting go. So I checked the fluid. I mean, I don't know what I'm doing. I checked the fluid, checked the valve. I mean, just opened them. Anyway, if you watch it to the end, you'll see what happened. The lift is not going down all the way. I don't know. Never had that problem before. What the hell? Go up a little bit. I don't know what that means. Why is it doing that? Oh, it looks full. Looks clean. Yeah, so now I'm down at ground level. I think what happened, you see that lift? I think it's wedged against the frame and it can't drop. If you can see that. So I'm going to hit this thing to the right. And we'll see what happens. That was it. A freak accident. Anyway, I fixed it. It's just a weird thing. I mean, shit happens.